South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Welcome in, everybody. It's time for another episode of Sports by the Book. We are live from the South Point Hotel and Casino. I'm Alex White, co-hosting Monday and Wednesday here at the desk at the South Point with Kenny White, who will be with us shortly. Thank you to everybody in the back. We've got Sean, Ryan, and Vince helping us out today. We are going to talk about the college playoff projection that did the second one happened again last night. Before we do that, though, I'm 0-2 this week, so I've got to get this out now. College Rivalry Week jackpot parlay cards here at the South Point, $5. You do not have to pick against the spread. You just pick the winner. It is a guaranteed $25,000, depending on how many people put in their cards and how much money. You could win more than that. Whoever has the most correct will be the winner. If people go 14-1 and there's multiple, they'll split it between them. So come take a shot, fill out a parlay card. I've already got 3 or 4. It's a fun weekend. I mean, we've got some games that could really mean a lot for a lot of these teams. So make sure you get down to South Point and do that. Again, welcome to my co-host, Kenny White, Wizard of Odds, and my father. How are you today? Happy Wednesday.
Good morning, Alex. Happy Wednesday. Busy, always at the South Point. It is amazing. Michael Gunn has had a vision and how to do it, and he's done it right. It is always busy here. Couldn't get my Starbucks yet. Equestrian's going on. They've got horse riders everywhere over there. Yesterday, I thought I saw softball players too. So there was a softball team staying here and the horse riders as well. So it's always busy here at South Point. And a horrible night for me.
Yesterday was rough.
Forced some plays a little bit, and those overs killed me. And Pete Lembo's team won the game. They celebrated like they won the Super Bowl, and we couldn't get there, but they did win the game. They came back and won it.
In overtime, they won by 3,
yeah,
which we did lay the 4, so that was a tough loss. I was
hoping they kicked the field goal, tied it in overtime, got the ball first, scores a touchdown to get us the cover, but didn't work that way. They got it done late, and they lost the turnover battle. If they don't lose the turnover battle, they win that game by a couple touchdowns. But again, you can't predict that.
Besides that, NBA, we did have our first NBA Cup games last night. Now we have a big slate tonight. Of course, these are going back to just regular season games, but we will go through that. There are some teams playing on back-to-back nights, so we'll get your take, see if you like anything in the NBA today. A couple hockey games we'll get to, and we have 3 more MAC games tonight. Not the best games, so we'll kind of go through these quickly. I really couldn't find anything that I loved in any of these games, but we will go through them, give you our takes, and then the last half hour, we do have 2 games that were requested to us with UCLA, USC, and then we are going to do something new today with an NFL game. We are going to give our head-to-head. We are on different sides, not necessarily going to bet those sides, but our numbers say differently, so we'll kind of give our case for that and see how that goes. But speaking of the college football playoffs, just quickly, so Ole Miss is projected to be back in with that win over Georgia, which knocks Georgia out. BYU, though, is still in a spot to have a bye week, and Miami as well, as they are projected to still win the ACC. But we'll have a graphic for that in a little bit, and then we can show you, because I know you are busy, and you have college basketball and a lot of other sports going on, so you didn't actually get to watch it yesterday.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But guaranteed, if BYU gets the bye, they'll be the first team to ever have a bye and be the underdog. Well, it has to be because it's the first time ever anyway. But they'll be a big underdog in that game, even off a bye.
I don't think you made it to the window at any sports books here last week. You said, I want Ole Miss. I want a ticket on them. They were 35-1 when we left the studio here at some shops, I think Westgate particularly. Now you can't really find anything better than 10-1.
I got 25-1.
Okay.
And then I talked to Sammy P, and Sammy P told me he could get 35-1, but I don't think he bet it. I don't believe he bet it, but I was like 35-1. I only had 25-1. So, but yeah, big Mississippi fan now.
Okay, so you did get a little 25-1. I am happy to hear that, because now here it is. Here's our 4 projected to get the bye. We've got Oregon from the Big Ten, who is the 1 seed right now, and they are still number 1 ranked. We've got Texas with the 2 seed, projected to win the SEC. BYU with the 3 seed, so they moved up from the 4 seed. Miami with that loss, now 4 seed. So those 4 teams projected to get the bye. Of course, we do have Boise making a little bit of a splash here. They are ranked 13th, sitting still at the 12 seed, though. But if they move up in rank over one of these teams, which right now BYU is the 6th ranked and Miami is the 9th ranked, and Boise could have a bye if they are ranked higher than either of those winners of their conference. So Ohio State and Boise did not move. Right now, that's the first matchup. Notre Dame and Tennessee. Ole Miss against Penn State, which, see, if this happens, you'll like this. Ole Miss versus Penn State. Then Ole Miss will play BYU after their bye.
Oh, my. Thank you very much.
And then the last one right now, Notre Dame and Indiana. They did move up in ranking, so they are 5th right now. So top 5,
wow.
Dad, top 5, 4 of them are from the Big Ten right now. Kind of disrespectful to the SEC right now, but it is off of records.
Yeah, it's all based off records. And a lot is going to change in the next 3 weeks because we have a lot of big matchups coming up for these teams. So, and the pressure starts to mount as well. And the conference championship game is going to be great in all of these conferences. So that's big. So that it's going to be a lot of fun here in December because of those. It's going to be fun here in November because a lot of these. But boy, I would love for that to happen. I think Mississippi would beat Penn State, and then they would be a double-digit favorite over BYU. And I got to win 2 games.
Yep, and make it to the.
And you don't know who they're playing besides that. You know. Could be Indiana. Who knows if Indiana makes it that far? Indiana, Notre Dame, a Hoosier State rivalry. So that's pretty amazing there.
One thing for sure, it's awesome. I'm very happy with the expansion. This is a lot of fun right now. I mean, it's already pretty chaotic with teams like Georgia right now not projected to win. They have a win on the road against Texas, and they aren't in this 12 team. So a lot of fun still to come. The expansion looking to be a success so far, and then we'll probably just have more changes and continue to improve it. But let's get into some MAC games tonight.
Okay.
And I know you went over these earlier on your show, so as I mentioned, we'll kind of go quick. There's not a whole lot. So yesterday, favorites were 3-0, 2-1 against the spread. Some upsets in NBA, too, and we'll get to those when we get to that sport. But Atlanta did have the big win over Boston without Trae Young that we had talked about. But going to Kent State at Miami, Ohio. Kent State 0-9 so far. They're 0-5 in their conference. Miami, Ohio, one of the best in the MAC, 4-1. If you like them, you have to lay a pretty big number here. They're a 30-point favorite, total 46.5. Kent State is 134 on my power ratings out of 134, so I haven't paid enough attention to them. Diving into it more last night, I mean, they have just dealt with so many injuries in the quarterback position. They are just kind of set up for failure here for the rest of the year. It's going to be a tough matchup for them. We saw a freshman in their last game against Ohio, Raul Tomlinson. I don't know if he is still the guy to go, but I'm projecting that. And on this other side, we've got Brett Gabbert, who we've talked about a lot, who has been playing well, 7.6 yards per attempt, 16-7 ratio there for Miami, Ohio. So tough numbers here. I assume that you lean to the favorite here with Kent State and their struggles.
Well, I didn't make it quite that high because it's hard for me to make numbers that high. But if I look at performance rating, might be a little different. Again, about in the same ballpark. Because Miami of Ohio is a good football team. They're not a great football team. They are the reigning MAC champs. They won last year, and they're tied for second, and this win would get them now tied for first place with Western Michigan once again. It's going to be cold. There could be some rain in the forecast. Now, the one go against for Kent State is Kenny Burns as the head coach. He was never a coordinator. He was a running backs coach at Minnesota before he got this job. They went 1-11 last year, and they're 0-9 this year. He's 1-20. A good head coach, I don't care what your talent is, would have won 2 or 3 games this year by now. Easily, a good coach would have. Kenny Burns is still trying to figure it out. And as a guy with no head experience, he's trying to figure out what to do with an 0-9 team now. Not trying to get better, how he's, psychologically dealing with his players. But Burns not only doesn't win games, he doesn't cover point spreads. He's 6-15 ATS in his career. So Miami of Ohio needs the game. I believe they'll be ready. Their defense is outstanding. It will be a freshman quarterback for Kent State. I think that you could go under in the Kent State number. If it's 7.5, you could go under 7.5 in a team total.
It does make sense. And they do have a good defense, 40th right now in total yards allowed and 32nd in passing yards allowed. So that freshman quarterback is going to have his hands full. I brought up Brett Gabbert, quarterback for Miami, Ohio. Has not thrown an interception since October 5th, and they haven't lost a game since then. So big game for them. I don't know if they will be able to cover that big spread, though. And I'm with you. I made it 27, so not quite there, but still a very heavy favorite here tonight. Yeah,
and no reason to play the underdog. There is revenge. Kent State lost at home last year, 23-3. And the year before that, Miami of Ohio only won 27-24 at home against Kent State. So they've taken them lightly 2 years in a row. Do they take them lightly a third year in a row? I'm not sure, but it is a very, very good defense, and I believe they can hold Kent State down. Kent State scored 6 against Bowling Green on the road, and they were shut out by Ohio last week, 2 of the better teams in the conference. So I think Miami of Ohio's defense is just as good as those 2 teams and can hold Kent State under 7.5.
3 home teams here with all good defenses. So let's go over to our next matchup. Eastern Michigan, 2-3 in MAC play, and Ohio, 6-3 on the year, 4-1 in conference play. They're at 10. Nope, they're an 11-point favorite now here at the South Point. Total 50.5. I brought up their defense, though. Ohio, 19th in total yards allowed. That's against all FBS schools, so that is very good, especially good against the run, holding teams to just 109.7 rushing yards per game. So kind of another case here. It's a 10-point favorite. I didn't make it quite this high, but can we make a case for the dog for this one?
Chris Creighton has been at Eastern Michigan now 10 years. This is his 11th year. I didn't think he'd be there this long because when I first found out about Chris Creighton and went over where he had been, and he was at Wabash, a Division III school, and he did really well there, and he got the job at Drake. He got moved up to the Division I from Division III. Did very well at Drake. It improved them, and then he went to Eastern Michigan. And he had improved Eastern Michigan in his 3rd year there. So I thought, this guy's really good coach. But maybe he's not a recruiter because you didn't have to recruit at D3, and maybe you didn't have to recruit a lot at Drake because it's Iowa, and you had a lot of good offensive linemen there in Iowa and there. But Eastern Michigan, and he hasn't done the job. 52-68 in his career, 5-7, basically average record at Eastern Michigan. And I believe he's been to 5 bowl games though. And I think he's 1-4 in those bowl games. So maybe he's not as good of a head coach as I thought, but he covers spreads on the road, 40-26 ATS on the road. His teams are ready to go when they travel. They do have 5 wins, so they're trying to get that 6th win for bowl eligibility. Now, my Ohio team, maybe I have them underrated. I'm glad I did these performance ratings this year because I have them a 108 performance, but a 99.5 power rating.
Wow.
8 points difference. Now, I've had those differences early in the year for a lot of teams, and I kept saying they're going to come together, which they will. After a couple more weeks, this will come together. But are they a 104 rated team? And I've got them a little underrated. I made the game 9.5, but if I have them underrated, I could make this game like 13.5. I think they're the right side. In MAC games, they've outscored their opponents 30-16. That's all MAC games. Some of those are on the road. 3 of them are on the road, actually, at Central, at Miami of Ohio, and at Kent State. So, this is a good football team. Tim Albin's the head coach. They run the ball. Their quarterback, Parker Navarro, may be the best quarterback in the MAC other than his touchdown to interception ratio. He's one of the top rushers in the league, 556 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns.
So that is something that I noticed about both of these quarterbacks here for this matchup. Cole Snyder on the other side, redshirt senior, 6.6 yards per attempt, completing 60% of his passes, 11-3 ratio, so very good. 274 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. So total 50.5. Is this a little high when you have 2 guys under center that can also run the ball?
Efficiency is big, and you have Eastern Michigan who plays fast and Ohio who plays slow. Eastern Michigan's pretty well balanced, 54% run. Ohio U 62% run, and that's because I think Navarro's a little better runner than Snyder is. My total 51.5 is right there.
Okay.
When the total was bet up here at the South Point, 49.5 up to 50.5. So it did go my way, but I don't have any leeway on either side, and I was trying to find a play, but that ATS record for Chris Creighton on the road keeps me away from playing Ohio.
I want to check my performance rating as well, because I actually have Ohio as an 8-point favorite here at home, so I'm curious if I'm a little bit low on them as well, because now that it's up to 11, that should be a play for me on the dog.
This one I've always wondered. How far back can home revenge go? The last time these 2 teams played was 3 years ago. Both head coaches were in place, and Ohio won at Eastern Michigan. Does Eastern Michigan remember that game? Then I'm sure there's a lot of players on the team that were there. I'm sure Chris Creighton remembers it. And if I would add to that to my number, I'd make the game 7, and if I took 20% off, I'd probably be betting on Eastern Michigan tonight.
So it is a lean to the dog here for us with Eastern Michigan and getting 11. Curious if that's going to go up any more because it was 10 just this morning.
Well, if you're a dog player, you wait on it. If you're a favorite player now, you wait on it because there's no big deal difference laying 11 or 11.5. So you want to wait. Maybe it drops back down to 10. Who knows?
Last but not least, we've got Northern Illinois. Remember, they had the big upset this year against Notre Dame. They are hosting Akron. Akron just 2-7, 1-4 in conference, and then Northern Illinois 5-4 and 2-3 in conference play. Covered the spreads though, 4-3-2, so 2 ties in there. What do you make of Northern Illinois? Very good defense, but seem to play to the level of their competition.
They have. Looking at their scores, it's just amazing. A team that beat Notre Dame, they beat Bowling Green. It's Bowling Green's only loss in conference play, and they beat Western Michigan last week, who was 4-0 in conference. But they have lost to Buffalo and Ball State. And those are 2 really bad football teams. So, what do you get out of Northern Illinois? Right now, it looks like Thomas Hammock's team plays to the level of the competition. And I'm looking at Akron. Joe Moorhead's the head coach. He's been there 2 years. This is his 3rd year. He's 2-7, so they're out of a bowl. There's no pressure on the team, I don't think. Joe Moorhead will be back next year because I think we've seen enough progress in this team that he'll be back. He was the head coach at Mississippi State for 2 years. So I always call these head coaches the CEO. And all I can think of, he was the CEO of the number one conference in college football, and now he's in the MAC. You know, that a CEO, he knows how to build this program and this team, and I see they're getting better. His last 4 games are the best 4 games that Akron has played this year. They have revenge from last year. They lost 55-14, and I feel like we have a team that plays to the level of the competition. So I made the game 14.5, but I got to take 2.5 off for the revenge to make it 12, and then I take 20% off for not wanting to bet favorites. I'm taking another 2.5 points off. I think this game should be about 9.5. So if you want to give me more than 2 touchdowns, I'm going to take it. But again, only a small 1% bet. And as bad as yesterday was, it wasn't a disastrous day because I managed my money and bet everything small.
Akron quarterback Ben Finley, redshirt junior, completing 59% of his passes, 6.9 yards per attempt, 19-9 ratio. That is the only concern I have. He's thrown an interception in every game this year but one. But still, I mean, 19-9, 2-1.
It is amazing to look at their turnovers in individual games. They lost the turnover battle by 3 to Ohio State. They lost on the road at Western by 4, -4 turnovers. And then Buffalo last week, 4 turnovers. Every other game, they didn't lose the turnover battle in any other game. They were even or they were +1 against South Carolina and +1 against Bowling Green. So I got a feeling they take care of the ball better this game. And they do for every game. You look at it, they're even in the turnover battle. So it's not a team. It's like they just have a bad game and they turn it over that game. The other games, they've taken care of it. So I'm going to go in with Akron here, knowing that Northern Illinois at 2-3. Now, Northern Illinois does need a win to go be 6-4 and be bowl eligible, but they have 3 games to do that. I think they know they have no shot at playing for the MAC championship with 3 losses already in the conference. I think they play down to the level here.
Northern Illinois, 5 wins, though, on the year. Does that...
Yeah, that's what I was just saying that.
You were saying they're trying to play for a bowl.
They need one more, but they know that they know they're a 2-touchdown favorite tonight. They're thinking they're going to get it, and if they don't, they have 2 more games to get it. They have played down to the level of the competition too much for me. Where the performance rating for Akron over the last 4 games is a 97. The performance rating for Northern Illinois in the entire year is a 99 or a 100. I'll round it up. So a 3-point difference. I mean, the way these teams are performing, Akron's performing just as good as Northern Illinois. So I feel comfortable taking that dog tonight.
We're trying to, by the end of each show, trying to have our 3 best bets. Is that going to make your list, or do you have better bets in the NBA coming up and maybe even college basketball?
That's a good question. I haven't really even taken a look at it yet. I finished my NBA, all up to date, all the power ratings.
So we'll go through it right now.
To explain to people when you use power ratings, what takes the longest to do is adjust. Go over the games, look at where your line, look at what you thought was going to happen, look at what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and then you adjust that team's power rating. A college football Saturday would take me about 4 to 5 hours to adjust. Mm-hmm. For me to make the line for that day, it takes less than an hour.
Right.
Making the line is the easiest part, and then you got to go over it and see what the. So I'm completely up to date on the NBA. I've got every game updated from yesterday, all my numbers, because there are a lot of teams you mentioned playing back-to-back. 9 teams playing back-to-back today.
Sean, will you note for me, though, I am going to take Eastern Michigan plus 11. They have 5 wins on the year playing for a bowl game against Ohio, who is a very good defense, but I'm going to take that 11 points as one of my best ones.
Good.
Let's go to NBA, though, and we have a basketball hoops animation here for us. We're going to get into some NBA and then possibly some college hoops if you have anything that jumped out to you, which I don't know if you've had a chance to go over that yet. But Here we go. Let's go to the Pacers and Orlando. Orlando is one of those teams. They are playing on back-to-back nights, and they are coming off a win. Beat Charlotte 114-89. This game is a pick here at the South Point, and the total 224.
Yeah, when you're at home, the back-to-back, and they were at home, it's no big deal. These guys are used to playing basketball so much in their life that they played back-to-back games so many times. They're and good teams, it doesn't affect them. We do need to make sure, injury report wise, Obi Toppin is questionable. He's worth about a point to the line, but still Nebhard out and Naismith, two really good guards for Indiana. I made Orlando 5, and Indiana came out the favorite. I guess they still are 1.5 right now here at the South Point. I see 1 at Circa on the Magic. I like the Magic here today. I think they're the better team playing at home.
Can you repeat? I'm sorry, I missed that. Who's out for the Pacers?
Aaron Naismith and Andrew Nebhard.
Okay.
Nebhard's the more valuable player of the two. He's a really good guard, scorer, and a very good passer. Obi Toppin had been out a couple games. He's only worth a point to the betting line because they're very weak center power forward. Don't have a lot of depth. Turner's a really good player at center, and Toppin and Turner are 2 of their 3 in the rotation for that spot.
224. I at first was a little surprised to see that with an Indiana total because they do like to run the ball, but contrast of style here with these two, right? Orlando is a slower paced team and better defensively.
Yeah, if I can get those sheets apart, geez. Pace-wise, I'm surprised. Indiana's pace has only been a 99 this year. Orlando a 99. And the reason why Indiana is a higher scoring team is they're above average offensively and below average defensively, where Orlando is below average offensively, but well above average defensive team. That has been the strength of the Orlando Magic is their defense. So, I like that team. They're 7-2 under in the second half of games as well this year, and they're 6-5 to the over, but they're on a 3-game under streak. Orlando is. I made it 220. I do lean to the under. This game opened 227.5, and Wise Guys bet it down right away. So I think they're on the right side there. I'll pass because we missed the best of the number, but I really like Orlando. Looking at it, that they have the far better defense.
Let's go to Boston, who is coming off a loss to Atlanta. So this is a back-to-back team as well. Playing against the Brooklyn Nets here. They are an 8-point favorite on the road, total 217.5.
What happened to them last night?
I don't know.
I felt like they could have named the score, and they did name the score. They named it in Atlanta by 1 because they didn't come to play. They had just beaten Atlanta by 30, I think, with Trae Young in the lineup. And all right, Trae Young's out. We beat him by 30. We'll win this game. They didn't realize that, and the only real difference maker in the box score that I found was Atlanta had 16 steals. They didn't do anything other than take the ball away from the Celtics because the Celtics, they were undisciplined last night. Will they turn it around tonight? Now they travel home to away. That is the worst travel for a team, but they're only going to Brooklyn, and good teams don't have those bad speed bumps. I made the Celtics 8 and 214. I'm right there in this game. I really don't have a play in it.
Man, Derek White, your guy, he still had 31 points. I wanted to see how Brown did coming back. He had 37 himself. So
Brown had 37?
He did, yes. So
Derek White's a heck of a player. I think he does more in the box score than Brown does.
It's impressive. Let's go to Chicago, taking on New York. The Knicks beat the Sixers last night, 111-99, and now they're an 8-point favorite at home, total 230.5.
Joel Embiid wasn't even in preseason shape. He was in really bad shape. He couldn't even get up and down the court in the fourth quarter. He got dunked on 3 times.
Well, you said it was going to affect him defensively more than anything.
It really did. He couldn't shoot either. I think he was 1 for 9 shooting. He made all his free throws. He's always been a great free throw shooter. That's the one thing I've really liked about Embiid, and that's why I thought, years ago I said he would win an MVP because this guy can score inside at will, and if you foul him it's a guaranteed 2 points, and he can shoot threes. So he's just a great offensive player. But they got beat up. The Knicks win that game. Do the Knicks have a letdown? I don't know. They are coming back home tonight. I made them 13. I hope they don't have a letdown. The line only 8, but I don't want to lay the favorite because of that fact in beating Philadelphia last night. I think this is a letdown spot.
Money line minus 340. It's a pretty big number there.
Yeah, I wonder what the money line was on the Celtics last night.
You mean on the other side? We want Atlanta.
Well, yeah. The people that put the Celtics in their money line parlays last night, the sports books, are extremely happy because I'm sure they got very few bets on the Atlanta Hawks.
We've got two teams that are both rested here. Pelicans at OKC. We've got the Thunder, a 14.5-point favorite, and the total 223.5. I say rested, but we talked about them on Monday, so both of them have one day off in between.
Yeah, and Thunder looked awfully good without Holmgren. They played fast. SG had a monster game, and again for New Orleans, the injuries are just really daunting when you've got Williamson, Murray, and McCollum all out, and Herb Jones. So basically 4 starters out of the lineup. And one thing I just glanced at, and I noticed that the Pelicans are 1-7 ATS in the second half of games. So the guys that are playing right now hang around a little bit early and then forget about it second half. They can't keep up. So maybe take a look at that. If it's close at halftime, we could bet Oklahoma City in the second half.
I'm looking for a game to bet over for the Thunder. While Holmgren is out, is this one of them, 223.5?
I made it 219. Slow and slower is the Pelicans' pace. Okay. And with the second string basically in there, their offensive efficiency is low.
Cleveland Cavaliers minus 9.5, total 218.5. Now they're playing against Joel Embiid and the Sixers. No confirmation if Embiid is going on back-to-back nights, but I believe he said he was going to try. He wanted to play tonight.
Yeah, he is. And, my numbers say I should be betting the Sixers here. That's a lot of points you're giving Philadelphia. I know Tyrese Maxey's out, but this line is that high because of the Cavaliers' winning streak. And again, maybe teams on winning streaks, I don't add that in these sports. I do it in baseball, and it works great. So I should be doing it here in basketball on a 12-game winning streak. Maybe I should give 6 points to the Cavaliers and make it 7.5. Call it a day and don't, for sure I, don't want to bet the Philadelphia 76ers. So that's a great adjustment for me in that game to adjust for the winning streak for the Cavaliers.
Okay, so nothing there then because of that adjustment. You can't even bet on Cleveland in that spot either. Milwaukee, 6.5-point favorite at home, total 215.5, and the Bucks are playing on a back-to-back night. Both of these teams are. Bucks beat Toronto 99-85, and the Pistons beat Miami in overtime. Anything in this one?
I made the Bucks 10.5, surprising, higher than the line because I bet Toronto yesterday, and it was a low-scoring game, which was great. I thought that kind of a game would help Toronto. But again, when you Dame's playing tonight. There you go. He had a concussion. He's been cleared to play. That's a difference maker in my number. So I will pass with Dame in the lineup. I'm sorry. What am I talking about? I am in the lineup, and that's why I have it higher.
Okay.
So I have a 10.5, and Dame's playing. The travel will affect the Pistons more than it will the Bucks because the Bucks were at home last night. Pistons home to road. That is a definite 2.5-point situational factor that you have to count in, and that's why I have the Bucks 10.5. Hope they don't have a letdown though. It scares me. They could have a letdown.
Well, and it's so interesting when you have two superstars like that with Dame and Giannis, and then Dame's out, so you think stay away from the Bucks, and they win that game, right? Because there's only one ball for them to share, and one can really step up. So now we'll see how they do with Dame back in the lineup because they've been struggling all year.
They have been. They're 2-8 straight up, 3-7 ATS. So probably not a team I really want to lay points with right now. And they've struggled badly in the second half. 2-6 ATS. The Pistons 5-3 in the second half of their game. So I'll pass there, even though I made it 10.5. I don't want to lay the favorite. I don't know why they would have a letdown beating Toronto.
Yeah. They need to get on a good...
It's not like a big rival that they played.
They need to take that win yesterday and run with it and try and build off of that.
They do. There's no doubt, but it's still early in the season. I'm thinking letdown because that was, an in-season tournament game. And they're thinking, hey, we finally got it right when we needed to, because these guys want to win this. They're competitive, and there's more money in it for them. The winner, I don't know what the winners get, $1 million to an extra $1 million in your pocket. That's, something to play for.
I don't know if it's that high. We'll have to look that up. But let's go to the Wizards playing against the Spurs here. San Antonio, 9.5-point favorite at home, in total 224.5. Ryan made this graphic for us with Wemby, and I just want to show it. We'll throw it up here right now quickly because you've been talking about Wemby and how he could potentially win the MVP. And here's two different stats. I need some glasses. I can't see that far. But he had 12 three-pointers and 10 blocks in one game. First player to do that. And then in the other one, it's just crazy amount of stats right there. But yeah, so he is doing things that we have not seen before. And we have some MVP odds too we'll get to shortly.
Yeah, I'm having a tough time reading those MVP odds as well, and I didn't get a chance to go over that. And I was going to try to find who has the easiest bracket of all of the teams in the NBA. And then when I saw that they don't play again, every Tuesday and every Friday is in-season tournament games. So I will try to get to that today, tomorrow, or Thursday for Friday's show when I'm on Sports by the Book by myself, because it'll be an in-season day, and hopefully I'll have that information for everybody on Friday. So tune in on Friday. I'll make sure I get it done to let you know who has the easiest round-robin bracket.
And next time I'll give Ryan a heads up to have that mic close so he can help us out with reading those smaller words there. But let's go to this game. 9.5-point favorite here at home. San Antonio, total 224.5.
Yeah, my team, I am 11 and 228.5, and both were a bet, the side and the total, on the opening numbers from the Circa. Spurs opened 7.5 and bet up to 9.5. That was the case here at the South Point. Same thing, 7.5 to 9.5. The total here at South Point, 221.5, up to 224.5. So I don't have a bet for either one. I know the Wizards, though, are on a 5-game losing streak. Maybe I should add that to my number, but I don't want to lay a bad line. If I could have gotten 7.5, great. If not, I'll wait, and maybe this is a second-half bet. The Wizards 2-6 ATS in the second half.
3 points higher on that total. Is that too high now to give out as an overplay?
Yeah, I think so. Again, I don't like overs as much in the first place, and now that we lost the best of the number, I would pass.
Okay. So nothing in that one now that we missed the number. Houston -4 at home, total 213.5 against the Clippers. Both of these teams had yesterday off as well.
Yeah, this will be, so they haven't played an in-season tournament game. They probably both play one on Friday. Not sure if they play each other. A lot of these matchups, these teams are playing back-to-back, so one game counts more than the other, so we have to see those situations. So this one, I didn't look, but these two teams could be playing on Friday. I don't know. It is a ways off. I love the total under. The only problem is I didn't check, and Van Vliet's probably back. And he is back, and that's going to add a little bit to the total, but I'll still have an underplay here in this game because I had 199 with Van Vliet out. You've got two extremely slow teams, average offenses with very good defenses. And on the year, both teams 7-4 to the under.
Okay.
So both teams have showed the under trend. That's just the way they play. And it opened 215 down to 213.5. I don't think we lost a lot of value there. We lost a little bit of value in the line, but that's where it's at right now, 213.5. Unless you can get Caesars in New Jersey, they're sleeping at 214.5.
Clippers Rockets under in that game for us here at the desk. Memphis and Lakers, they did not play yesterday either. I'm going to try and pull up these last two games in their schedule to see who they play on Friday for you. But the Lakers are a 6-point favorite at home, total 231.5 here at the South Point, just a half a point higher than most places that are at 231.
Yeah, and the Lakers, they went all out last year in the in-season tournament, and they'll probably have their first game coming up on Friday, maybe looking ahead to that a little bit. I only have 4.5 here, which kind of shocks me with all of the talent out. Morant out, Smart's been out, you got Bane out. It's the one thing that's hard to do when you have power ratings and you got spreadsheets and you try to put that all together and keep it nice and neat. Because my thought right now in my head is that I probably don't have Morant out on this number. I just can't see me having Memphis a 101, and I have 8.5 points out of the lineup. If everybody's in for Memphis, they'd be the best team in the NBA. I can't see that. So that's a Morant in number. I should make the Lakers about 7 here. 227.5. I do not have a play on the game. I'm going to go back and look at my historicals afterwards to see where I've had Memphis rated and when those players went out and what adjustments I made. But I'm thinking the Lakers should be about 7, right on the betting line. Have a small lean to the under, only because of the line movement from pro bettors over. They went from 230.5 to 232.
So going to the last game, you were correct about that one. The Clippers and the Rockets will play on Friday for their first NBA Cup game. The Lakers will not be playing the Grizzlies, though. They will go to San Antonio to play the Spurs, and the Grizzlies will go to Golden State to play against the Warriors.
Big
games. Yes. So he will have all of that for you on Friday at Sports by the Book, 9 a.m. Same YouTube channel. You know where to find us here. Okay, now these two did play each other last night. We've got the T-Wolves and the Trailblazers. Portland won 122-108. What are you thinking for tonight's game with Minnesota -9 and the total 220.5?
Yeah, I only made Minnesota 5. But man, I could, revenge factor of losing last night's game in an in-season tournament and making it 7.5, but that doesn't do me any good. The line's 9.
Well, what about on the other side? I mean, Portland let down. They beat them in the game that mattered, right? In their grouping and in the in-season tournament game.
They're only 3-8 on the season, and it could be a little bit of a letdown from them. I have an underplay here. I made it 215 and it is 220.5. So maybe Minnesota's defense steps up. They don't play fast. They do play good defense, and Portland struggles to score. They didn't last night, but I got to believe that Chris Finch is saying we need to play better defense tonight. That's got to be the goal. So maybe I could see a Portland team total under. Maybe if you can find like a 206, 207 to go, or 106, 107 in that range, go under that.
What's holding you back from the whole game under? Because you said you
had it
like 150.
I do like the game under. I'm just thinking Minnesota
could have
who knows if they have a really big game because of being upset about losing last night.
Okay.
Getting upset.
Okay, so looking more towards Portland's team total for that under. Phoenix Suns, Sacramento. We've got the Kings 7.5 point favorite here at home and the total 226.
Yeah, I made it right there. 7 and 227. And, Durant out for Phoenix hurts them. Record wise, the Suns 8-2 this year, but just 3-7 ATS. They've underachieved a little bit. I don't really see any trends in the second half. Suns 5-3 to the under. Kings 6-4 to the over. Would think both teams were more over teams, but the Suns were the one that got me last night.
I was just going to say
I had under against Utah, and that was a tough loss to take. A lot of threes. They scored 25 points, I think, in the last 2 minutes of that game.
That game closed 229, and the final was 232. So.
Yeah, 20 and 25 of it was on 107 with 2 minutes to go. I was thinking I was in pretty good shape.
And Phoenix did cover in that game since it was an important one for them. And
yes, that was very important for them. And then traveling back to back, that hurts them a little bit. I did factor that into the line. So Kings 7.
We'll flash up these MVP odds just for anybody who is watching and who is curious, but we don't have any real thoughts on this yet. We are going to dive into this and we'll really talk about it next week. But here we do have the Joker as the favorite, plus 225. And then we've got Luka. And then you got Steph Curry up there at 50-1. And then Wemby still 100-1. So we'll talk about this more. We've got Booker up there. It looks like he is 80-1. Right behind Kevin Durant, though, who is 50-1. So here's just some numbers. These odds are courtesy of the Westgate. So if you're interested in betting on that, which I would like to take a little flyer on somebody here. So we'll look over that this weekend and give you more next week.
I'll give you a couple of the guys that I have, at the top so far, what they from, what I saw from last year and what I think they're doing this year. And these are the guys at the top. I think Jokic should probably be the favorite to win it. SGA has got to be right up there. So what would the odds on SGA?
He is actually pretty. I think he is the third right now behind Luka. Oh, yeah, he is 250 as well.
And now with no Holmgren, he's going to put up more points. But Doncic and Antetokounmpo has to be there, and then Jason Tatum, and then Steph Curry, I would think, is right there in the mix. And what can we get Curry at?
50-1.
Still at 50-1, even after last night.
This was yesterday before those games, so I'll have to check today.
Yeah, it's probably a little lower now. He had 37 again last night.
Yeah.
To beat Dallas and beat Doncic, he has a monster game.
We forgot to mention the Klay Thompson angle of him going back.
Klay Thompson coming back. He played well too.
Anything for college basketball? I know Sean, he put every game in for you in case that you wanted to hit any regular game or any games on the extra card. So
I just finished mine and sent it out to my clients without an opening and current line because I didn't have time to. And I wanted them to get my numbers so they could start to compare. So do you have a betting line in front of you? And then we can go rapid fire.
Okay.
With what I made it, you tell me what they made it. Massachusetts 1 and 143.
Louisiana Tech 1 and 145.5.
So no real difference. Northeastern 6 and 149.5.
Northeastern 2 144.5.
I like Northeastern. That's a rivalry game though against Harvard. Same area. What was the total?
It is 144.5.
I lean to the over there. Both teams do play up tempo. Tennessee 21.5, 51.5.
Tennessee 25.5, 141.
Yeah, over. I would go over there. Tennessee loves to get up and down, and they pressure Barnes' teams at home. Montana, very good shooting basketball teams. I think so far that would be my best play is Tennessee over 141.5. Toledo 5, 138.
7.5 and 164.5.
Whoa, wow. I don't have Toledo as that high scoring of a basketball team. I don't think that their Wright State is a very good over team, and I think that's why that total's so high. So you can put me down for under just off the principle of those numbers being so different. Charlotte pick and 147.5.
We've got Charlotte 1.5 and the total 140.
So a little bit of lean to the over there. George Mason 12.5, 120.
13.5 and 138.5.
Yeah, that's a definite under. Both these teams are slow teams, and not the greatest of scoring teams as well. Dayton 17 and 138.5.
Right there, 16.5 and 143.5.
Small lean to the under. North Carolina State 16 and 139.5.
17 and 141.5.
Jacksonville State 5 and 148.5.
5.5, 140.5.
So you got a little bit of a lean to the over there. Georgia State is the high scoring team between those two. Middle Tennessee 7.5, 150.
10.5 and 143.
So a little bit of a lean to the dog and a little bit of a lean to the over in that game. Auburn 19, 152.5.
22 and 148.
So really too close to calling both those numbers. Minnesota 5.5, 135.5.
2.5 and 129.
Yeah, North Texas is that under type of basketball team, but with McCaslin, when he was there, who's at Texas Tech now, they played much, much lower than they are now. I would look at Minnesota, maybe even just on a money line on this game. I think they're the better basketball team playing at home as a Big Ten school.
Minus 140 here on the money line. So
Vanderbilt 7, 145.
Vandy 8 and 158.5.
Well, I'd definitely go under there. Vandy is a solid defensive team. And California plays good defense too. Houston 23 and 133.
Houston 30 and 137.5.
Hell, Houston could hold Louisiana Lafayette to whatever they want to. We know how great their defense is, but Lafayette does like to run, and they are decent offensively. 30, that's leaning. I mean, it's a 7-point difference from me, but when you get up into the 20s,
yeah,
I like to have about a 7.5 point difference. So it's leaning to a play on Lafayette, but I don't like it. Tulsa 11.5, 144.
Right there. Not for the total though. So 10.5 and 153.
So under 153. Texas Tech 18.5, 158.5.
Texas Tech 21 and 144.5.
Yeah, that's McCaslin. I'm from Texas Tech, and Wyoming plays really fast and up tempo. Seton Hall 4.5, 130.5.
5 and 137.5.
Lean to the under a little bit in that game. That's a 7-point difference. Arkansas 11.5. I'm probably going to have a play here. 176.5.
You are. Arkansas 13 and 153.
Wow, 153. This is trying to think. The head coach's name came from Kentucky. Left Kentucky. Calipari. He is a up-tempo, spread, dribble drive, offensive guy, and there's a lot of talent there at Arkansas. And Troy is an up-tempo basketball team, so I think they run up and down with him. That's definitely one of my 3 plays of the day, over 153 there. Western Illinois 3.5, 155.
3 and 143.5.
Overplay again. Illinois 21.5, 156.
23 and 151.5.
Lean will stay away. We've got so many other big differences. Colorado 16 and 142.
16 and 137.5.
Really close. Nevada 13.5, 136.5.
17.5 and 139.5.
Again, double digits. I like a 2.5 point play when we're in single digits. So about a 5-point difference in double digits.
Yep.
In the 20s, or in the teens, I should say. So nothing there past there. San Francisco 13 and 139.
15.5 and 145.5. So
leaning to the under there. It's right there on borderline being a play. Couple games left in the regular board. Santa Clara 12.5, 151.5.
16.5 and 153.
Right there on that game. Santa Barbara 8 and 145.
13.5 and 153.
So I would have a Fresno plus 13.5 and under 153, and it's Fresno would be the slower team in the game. So kind of correlated. It would be a dog and under parlay as well. For me, that would play, would do pizza money. So the USC Trojans 14.5 and 148.5.
16.5 and 154.5.
Small lean to the under. So, it's the best play I think there is Troy and Arkansas over 153. With Calipari as the head coach, I think they really, Arkansas loves that. The people there, Nolan Richardson was there, the coach there for 20 some years, and he played baseline to baseline, offense and defense, full court pressure, 40 minutes of hell, I think he called it. And they love that type of basketball there because they are used to it and they want to go up tempo. And I think that's what Calipari's going to do because he's got a really deep team and very, very talented team. So my second best play has got to be Wright State and Toledo under 161. And then George Mason and Central Michigan under 138.5. Three totals I'll single out for you. But see how close the sides were.
I might have to jump on that over 2 in that Arkansas game as one of my best bets. For my third one, I'm going to take the Golden Knights in Anaheim. I'm going to go puck line here with them because we've got a father's trip starting for the Golden Knights. Yes, and they are coming off a brutal loss to the Hurricanes. So
a team we have to move up in our rankings. I'm going to have to give more respect to because they are playing good hockey.
I mean, I had them like third, and then I moved them down to 5th remember we even showed the top 10?
Yes.
And you said you do have the Canes higher than the Knights.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't really be betting the Knights. So they're pretty high. But yeah, no,
So
definitely.
this is the father strip.
Yes.
Still Stone is out. But I think that would be the only way to go. Instead of laying $1.90 or $2, we're looking at $1.90 here at the South Point. You're better off going on the puck line. Let me see what that would be.
Thank you. And then we'll take a quick 1-minute break so we can talk over our best 3 bets. We do still have 3 games to go through. When we come back, we're going to do our NFL head-to-head. We'll go over the Chargers and the Cincinnati Bengals game, and then we have 2 college football games, one Friday, one Saturday. Kind of quickly go through those and see if there's anything that we like. We'll find that puck line on the break.
Plus 130.
Plus 130, thank you. So we'll go get our top 3, and then we'll go through those games. So quick break for us, 1 minute, don't go anywhere. This is Sports by the Book.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us here on Sports by the Book. Alex White, Kenny White to my left. Welcome, everybody, in the chat. We've got A Gold and Jerry. They both filled out their parlay cards, remember, for Rivalry Week here. College football, Dean Hilt, welcome. We do have your 2 games coming up here shortly. He said he's coming into town and will fill out cards as well. Wagon Sports, welcome. And Vince, no, not Sean today. We'll see if he eventually chimes in. But let's get to, this is brand new. We're going to try something new here. We've got a nice little animation for us, and this is our little head-to-head. Here we go. And perfect colors. That looks like the Chargers and the Bengals, but they're on opposite sides. Let's get into this one. Chargers, -1.5 at home. This game was flexed to Sunday night now because it is a more competitive matchup. The total in this one, 47. Now, I picked this game out because I did notice from our power ratings and the lines that we made, I made the Chargers a 3.5 point favorite here at home. Is that correct? Is that where it opened, Bengals 1.5? Or
I saw 2. It opened Chargers 2.5.
Okay. Has it moved all the way though, or was that?
Let me look.
Let's double check this. Okay.
I know the Chargers opened up at the South Point. The favorite. 2 here at the South Point, down to 1.5. Total 45.5 up to 47.5.
Okay. And the last I checked, it was 47, so it's still moving. So Chargers 1.5. As I was saying, I made the Chargers 3.5 here in this one. We like to have 2.5 point difference on the sides. I know that you made the Bengals about a 0.5 point favorite on the road here. against the Chargers. So we'll talk about both of these teams and kind of break it down, because just because I have the Chargers as a 3.5-point favorite doesn't necessarily mean it is a bet for me. I do know that the Cincinnati Bengals are the more desperate team. Chargers 6-4 on the year, the Bengals 4-6. Now they're coming off a pretty tough loss to one of their rivals in the Baltimore Ravens on Thursday night, where they did have that game and lose by 1. So where do we want to start off? You want to start off with the Bengals and Joe Burrow and the year that he is having, because he is leading the league right now in total yards. He's completing 69% of his passes, 7.5 yards per attempt, 24 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. But it's really the defense that's been the problem with the Bengals.
Yeah, it really has. You mentioned Burrow and Chase Young, or Jamar Chase. Those two have been one of the best hookups in football all year long. My question mark on this game, now I do want to go back and I forget things that, one thing that it's easy for me to say, we bet 2.5-point differences.
Yeah.
But when you start to look at percentages and what numbers are worth, when you make it 3.5 and it's 1.5, that is about a 6.5, even higher than that, almost 8.5 point play. You really only need a 5% edge to make money. So you have a better edge than you need to have a bet laying 1.5.
Because it is under a field goal.
Correct.
And I have them.
Well, you're talking
winning
about you have the winning by 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
So the push value on the 3 is about 4.5%. And now you're laying less than that.
Right.
So it is a pretty valuable play, even though you don't have a 2.5-point play. For me, I made Cincinnati 1 and I'm only getting 1.5.
Right.
And I'm crossing 0, but they can tie, but the percentage of it tying is so low. So I have this question mark for you, though, to maybe take you off the play, because that's my job now, because I'm making Cincinnati the favorite. They are the more desperate team.
Yes.
In SoFi, I don't know how the fan base, how it's growing, and if they're going to have the majority of fans. Because for the first couple of years, I was betting against the Chargers every home game because of the opponent would have all the fans in the stands. There would be very few Charger fans because this is San Diego.
Right.
So that if they were in San Diego, we'd get full home. They've got to be growing, though, this year. The fan base has to be growing because they've had a better year with Jim Harbaugh. So
the thing is, I don't even think it's great home field for the Rams, and the Rams are the favorite team there of the two. But even Monday night, looked like there was quite a few Dolphin fans there in that stadium as well. So that's a great point. So maybe I shouldn't give them so much home field.
There's so much to do in LA that, LA fans have been this way forever for all of their teams. They show up late and they leave early. And it's the hustle and the bustle of Southern California. You don't get that for the 49ers. You don't get that for the Seattle. So it's not West Coast. It's just the Southern California area that people have so much to do there. Fun things to do besides working things to do. So they don't have the fan bases like the Steelers do, the Browns do, the Bengals do at home, all those great franchises. So that's a question mark for me. When you make it 3.5, how much home did you give? Do you know? Do you have that in front of you?
I probably just 1. I think that is what my standard is for the Chargers.
That's good, because that's what it should be. I don't think it should be any more than that, but we'd have to check. And if we knew there's going to be more Bengal fans in the stands than Charger fans, that 1 would be too much.
1.5, is that too much?
So now your number would be 2.
Now my number would be 3.
Well,
if I go to half.
Yeah, if you moved it from 1.5 to 1.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable home field to give for a team like the Chargers, 1.5. So, it was like the Jets and Giants play in New Jersey. And if they were to play in New York, they'd have a much better crowd, I think.
So The Chargers are the better defense, though, and they do run the ball better, and that has been a part of their identity. That is how Harbaugh has wanted to build this team. But Justin Herbert having a very good year as well. 66 passing completions, 7.8 yards per attempt, 11 passing touchdowns, and just 1 INT. I talked about their defense, number 1 right now in points allowed at just 13.1. So I found a different way to bet this, and I haven't seen an official number out, but I'm looking somewhere around 23.5 for the first half. I like that under, because the Chargers are not only number 1 right now in points allowed, but they're number 1 in first half points allowed, and 3 points better than the next best team, which is San Francisco. So they're holding teams to 4.8. That's the average. I should find the median there. Last 3 games is just 5. And then Cincinnati, 11th best in the first half, holding teams to 10.2. So it's really the second halves that have kind of been getting out of hand for the Bengals, and what has cost them some of these losses this year. So I'm not going to bet the side because of the desperation here, because of the talent level that is on that offense for the Bengals, even though I do like this Chargers team. Situational spot, but I do like the under in the first half for this one. And maybe I'll wait. It's moving up, 47.5. I might get a key number of 24 for the first half now.
Yeah, I can see that because you mentioned the Chargers, methodical play. They like to run the football, and if they do control the ground game, they'll control the clock. This game is so important to Cincinnati. Another loss, I believe, knocks them out of the playoffs for good. They're done. A win doesn't get them in, but a win keeps them alive.
Right.
So this is such an important game for them. It's all or nothing, basically, for this team. The defense has to come to play this week.
So most importantly, from your side, with what you have made it, would you go with that money line plus 105? Is that a play for you? Take the point just for a little cushion, or is it a no bet on the side for you as well?
I would like to take plus 110 if I could take it in that area.
Okay.
I don't know if you'll see that high on it, but and maybe at game time. I think you're going to see Charger money. I think you'll see Charger money. It's a standalone Sunday night game. They are the favorite. That's where the money's going to come in.
Wow.
I don't think it'll get to 3, but I think it'd be 2.5.
The funny thing, though, is people still have not accepted that this Chargers team is better. So I think from like a public perspective, they just saw the Bengals in the Super Bowl not too long ago with Joe Burrow.
2 years now.
2 years now.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
So they're getting points with that team, and then they're used to this Chargers team being below average. I don't know. I think we might continue to see Bengals money.
Don't forget, the general public is what have I seen lately? What did I just last see? They don't think back. They do at times, but you're right. You make a good case for them thinking about the game that way. But I think they're thinking more the team with the better record at home, laying less than a field goal. That's who I'm on.
Okay.
I think the general public will be all over the Chargers.
Should be interesting.
Maybe this is your teaser game, or maybe my teaser game. I tease up to 8.5 if I can get it. And I just have to find a way how to play the total, or put it with another game on Sunday.
I would be fine even teasing the dog too, because of course we don't tease through 0 either.
Right.
So I can't with my side. So we have 2 college football though that we do need to talk about quickly because they were requested. I guess I could leave them for you for Friday, but we can quickly talk about these. We've got UCLA against Washington. UCLA 4-5 on the year, 3-4 right now in Big Ten. They are 6-3 against the spread, and they are 6-3 to the under. Coming off 3 straight wins. We talked about Deshaun Foster the other day and what he has done and how his team is really improving. On the flip side, with Washington, 5-5. Trying to get bowl eligible, 3-4 in the Big Ten, 4-6 against the spread, and they're 8-2 to the under. Here's the biggest thing here for me when I really was breaking down this game. Washington is 5-5. They've already played 10 games. They have a bye after this, and then they have Oregon. Oregon right now is ranked number 1, and I know that is a rivalry game. I don't think it made this list.
Well, we better get it done this week.
So they had better get it. It did make this list, actually. Washington and Oregon right here, number 11 and 12. it's a bigger game for the Huskies, wouldn't you say? And they are at home. They're a small favorite, 4-point favorite at home, and total 46.5. I also made them a 6-point favorite in this game. So I think I talked myself into a Washington play here.
Yeah, disappointing season for them and coming off a bad loss at Penn State. I think you will get a better performance from the Huskies here in this one. I made them 11, so I hope they do. I think they're the right side. I did bet Washington already, so I am on the Huskies this weekend.
Okay, I will be as well because Will Rogers, he has had a good year as well. Redshirt senior, completing 71.4% of his passes, 8.1 yards per attempt, 13-5 ratio there. And I like what we're seeing from UCLA, but I still think that they have a ways to go, and this is a step up in competition from those wins that they've had lately. Even though they did find a way to beat USC, so they've got a couple good ones. And Iowa was the big win last week, and you were on them with the points, so that makes me feel even better when you say you made Washington even higher.
Yeah, I like the way UCLA has been playing. I said it last week, and I did bet UCLA last week. They're going on the road, though, and Washington is still a very solid football program. 5-5. They need that win to be bowl eligible. I know that they'll be motivated and ready to play after a bad game.
And we know that Jedd Fisch is a good coach. It's going to take a little time here at Washington. He lost a lot of players. This team did make it to the championship game last year. Okay, we've got USC. One more, USC and Nebraska. Let me make sure this is the right number here. I believe the Trojans are a 9-point favorite. Total 50. Nebraska 5-4 on the year, 2-4 right now in conference play. And USC, it has been so disappointing. 4-5 and 2-5 in Big Ten. They are 5-4 against the spread. Some news here: Miller Moss will not be the starting quarterback. Both these teams are coming off a bye, so both of them have made some adjustments. USC is going to Jaden Maiava. I don't know why.
Maiava.
Maiava.
I thought I knew how to say it.
Me too. Quarterback for UNLV. Yes,
Yeah.
so we should. Okay, they're going to see what they have out of him. Miller Moss will not be playing. I believe he entered the portal, so that's some news there.
Miller Moss did?
Yep.
Oh, good for him. Maiava may be the better quarterback, so no drop off at quarterback. Maiava had a great year for UNLV last year. He's a local kid, played at Liberty High School.
Yeah. I think good for him. I think he'll get money and he'll go somewhere. That first game against LSU, I was very impressed. He had a really bad home road split, so he was more comfortable at home, and that's where their losses started to build up. But I think he'll be fine, even though you would think he'd want to be under Lincoln Riley out of anyone. Going back to them coming off of byes, though, and Nebraska making a change as well. Matt Rule, he added Dana Holgerson to his staff a week ago, and then just the other day, he has now upgraded him to offensive coordinator. We have seen some struggles from Dylan Raiola after their hot start, and then they got a lot of attention here, especially with his lookalike and his similarities with Patrick Mahomes, but now they've really struggled as of late, and they've lost 3 in a row. They lost to Indiana, Ohio State, and UCLA, so not terrible losses either, but really trying to turn things around. As I mentioned, Trojans, 9-point favorite at home, and the total 50. Anything that you can do in this one?
It may have went up a little too far for me now. I made USC 13, and I do worry about Maiava may be rusty. He hasn't thrown a pass since the first week of September in a game. He does it every day in practice, but it's a different thing. You mentioned the woes for Nebraska the last 3 weeks. You know, does USC respect them after they know they lost to UCLA? That's the thing. Maybe you get a letdown from USC this week. They're not having a good year. 2-5 in the Big Ten.
Yep.
They still are a very talented football team and well coached under Lincoln Riley. But Nebraska's well coached too, and maybe this is the turning point for Nebraska that they need this game. So I'll pass on the side and total here.
I almost think this game is unbettable, right? With so many unknowns and everything I just threw out there.
Yeah.
I was probably talking a little fast too. 2 coming off a bye week and making change offensively. So this is kind of a watch and see.
We've seen that spark teams. We've seen those changes spark teams.
Right, but we've got it happening with both.
Both sides, yes.
So you can't really give an edge to either one. But Yeah, so that's a stay away. But we both do like Washington. That's for Dean Hill. Thank you for always requesting games for us to break down. That's it for us for today, though. Kenny White will be back on Friday for Sports by the Book. Make sure and tune in for that because we have some more NBA Cup games. So he will have plenty of plays there. I'll be back Saturday morning, 8 a.m. here at the desk with Jeff Parles for Sports by the Book for college football. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Thanks, everybody behind the glass. We'll see you guys shortly. Have a great Wednesday.